worshiper, lover of living. Come, come, whoever you are. This isn't a caravan of despair, and it doesn't matter if you've broken your vow 1,000 times before, still and yet again. Come again, come, and yet again, come.
My gosh, half of them are already enlightened. I don't know why they came to see me. You know what I mean? It's so much fun. It's so much fun. You know, there's no such thing as time, but sometimes it's fun. Time is fun. And I was thinking today, you know, as you know, I had a big Osho center just outside of Los Angeles by about 2 hours. And but I was leading meditations in Beverly Hills for James Coburn. He was the first James Bond. And he was a big donator to Osho's work. And the funny thing is, when Osho wanted to stay in America, 100,000 psychologists all said Osho is the real deal. But the government didn't give a shit about those 100,000 psychologists. They were hoping they would leave with Osho. But James Coburn wrote a letter about how creative Osho is, and we need people like Osho in America. And we put that letter on the top of that pile. And that's the only one the government looked at. And they said, well, if James Coburn likes Osho, maybe there's something to him. And in the next bedroom, besides Swami Krishna Prem, male seeker of the truth, was the Karmapa Lama, who was the second highest Tibetan, who had acknowledged Osho also. And he wanted to meet me because I had a beard all the way down to the ground. And the story goes from the Karmapa is that in a past life, when the Chinese wanted to kill him, they tied his beard to the back of a horse's tail. And then they whipped the horse so that the Karmapa Lama would die. And what he did is he released his beard and he lived forever. So the story goes that he just loved my beard because it reminded of him of his past life. But more importantly, he said to me, and I'll never forget it, he said, "And where do you live?" Now, I was a young Osho guy at the time, and I remember saying to myself, I live in Osho consciousness, but I didn't quite have the words to say that. So I said to the Karmapa Lama, well, you go down to the end of the hill and you turn left, then you drive for 2 hours, then you turn right, and that's where we have a center. And he said, great. And years later, I was with Osho, and he said to me, if you're ever in the presence of a Karmapa Lama and he asks you where you live, you just say you live in me. And I'll never forget, I just laughed because even though I was an idiot, I thought I was a fun idiot. You know, I got the joke. I got the joke. And so, yes, I'm turning 80, but who gives a shit about that? I just used it as an excuse to try and get all my friends together in one place. I see Vismai's here, oh my gosh, and Jyoti and Sanjeeva and Ananda and so many good friends. And Pankaja, my gosh, Pankaja, I think you're the only one older than me, maybe by 2 or 3 days, and I still would like to have a date with you, exciting woman. So there's a lot of great people here, and I'm pretty excited. I don't even know what I'm going to talk about, except that I did want to start with something that has come to me. When I met Osho, I had come from a yoga center where everybody was absolutely beautiful and skinny and tall and righteous. My God, they had what it takes, but they was a little stiff for me, you know, being a foolish man. And when I met Osho, everybody was fat sloppy, but they were in love, you know? And so I did want to say what Osho said to me when I said, hey, what about these people around you, Osho? I'm not so attracted to these people. I kind of thought the girls from the yoga school were a little sexier. And he said, basically, he's considered master of the big boat. He doesn't have judgments about how you look, He just has judgments about how you are as a human being. And at the same time, I was reading a book from him called This Very Body, the Buddha. So it wasn't that Osho was discounting the body as being the Buddha. He just didn't want us to be in a prison called yoga. He preferred just be. Some people are yogis, some people are tantricans, some people just don't want to look at their own lives, so they love Osho. Oftentimes, that can be the case. So I did want to talk today very simply about something very foolish. And I think it's real. In my family, all of a sudden, there's not men and there's not women. All my nieces say, please call me he or they. And I respect that. And I think what's going on in the world right now is people are dropping their identification with their sex. The women are saying, call me he or they, and the men are very confused anyway. But what I want to suggest to you is this, that where I come from now, being a meditator, is that I am existence appearing as a man, just like Ananda is a existent appearing as a woman. But I think where we get in trouble is we take ourselves seriously. If you scratch me, I'm a Jewish man from Boston. I lose my meditation right away when I lose my center. So what I was thinking about today is, and I wanted to share with you, is I want to start thinking of ourselves as existence appearing as a man, existence is appearing as a woman. Existence is non-dual, and men and women are dual. And Osho would always say that is the biggest difficulty we have when we divide the world in two. You might remember, on a more dramatic note, Krishna Murti said, as soon as you say America and India, you're already violent. And for me, as soon as you say man or woman, you're already violent. So basically, my whole life right now, and I hope I'm right on because I'm sharing it with you and you're here, is we are existence. And when you breathe in, you begin to enter the mind, and you get attached to it because it's so intelligent. And sometimes when your mind lets you down, you drop into your heart. And what I found, which is so interesting, is without meditation, the heart can lie just as good as the mind can. So where I'm coming from now is when you breathe in from existence into your mind, into your heart, into your hara. And when you do this, the mind becomes no mind, the heart becomes the empty heart, and the belly is one with silence. I know I'm crazy. It's not a big deal. But the beauty of it is, as Osho was leaving his body so many years ago, he was only breathing out because he no longer needed to breathe in. He was no longer concerned with taking care of his body. So I was breathing in for him. He was breathing out for me. And of course, he got the last laugh by leaving his body. But I think you guys, like me, we're little human beings running around. For me, I'm looking for balance. I'm looking for balance between breathing in and breathing out, between being a man and being a woman. Yes, when the coin flipped, when it fell to the ground, Krishna Prem is a man and Jyoti is a woman, but it's not to be taken seriously. It's not to be taken seriously. And I'm going to kind of show us through some activity, very simple, what I mean by this. But Osho called this the razor's edge, how to be in balance, how not to take yourself serious as a man, how not to take yourself serious as a woman, how to just have balance. So we're just going to play a few minutes of Osho. You guys remember him. I know you've been too busy to listen, to read. So I've got it down to just 4 or 5 minutes. I don't want to kill you with Osho tonight. But could we put that razor's edge on for 4 or 5 minutes?
Existence loves imperfection. Because imperfection has the possibility of evolution. Perfection means death. The moment you are perfect, now there is no possibility of any evolution. This is something to be remembered, that on the spiritual path, nobody ever becomes perfect. One is always coming closer to perfection, closer to perfection, closer to perfection, but never becoming perfect. The distance between you and the perfection remains the same, just like the horizon. You can go towards the horizon and you can feel that now I am coming closer, now I am coming closer, but the horizon goes on receding back. The distance between you and the horizon remains always the same. Perfection is the horizon of your consciousness. It allures you. It challenges you. It calls you. But remember, the distance will remain the same. On the spiritual path, there is no goal, only pilgrimage. But the pilgrimage goes on becoming more and more juicier, more and more beautiful, more and more ecstatic. Turiya is trying to make a book of my photographs. Forget the idea of being perfect. Just enjoy. Put your total energy into it. But don't expect that your photographs are going to be perfect. Imperfection has a beauty. Imperfection is alive and perfection is dead. You are saying everything is stopped, became sharp, clear and silent. Is just like the razor's edge, very sharp, and one has to be very relaxed to move on it. A little tension, a little anxiety, a little fear, and there is danger.
Yeah, sweet to hear Osho's voice, no? And but I'm always remembering, and I've told the story before, but I'll tell a brief version. I was going back to Gitam, that place I told you that I ran for Osho. And Osho said, "That's wonderful. I'd love you to come and sit very close to me tonight because you're going to the West and I want to fill you with energy." I don't remember his exact words. And I was very flattered, and I went home and I took a shower, but I felt a little slow, so I went out and had a cup of coffee, and I was a little hungry, so I had some Greek yogurt with honey, and I went to the talk. But what Osho didn't tell me is the talk was outdoors, and what he didn't tell me is the talk was in Hindi, and what he didn't tell me is the talk was free. And by the time I got to this outdoor free talk in Hindi, there were 5,000 Indians already sitting before Osho. And I didn't want to be impolite. I felt embarrassed. So I just sat down behind those 5,000 Indian friends. And I closed my eyes and I said, "Osho, please forgive me. I'm such an idiot." And I heard his voice saying, "I have to forgive you because you're always going to be an idiot." And I opened up my eyes, and now there were 5,000 Indians behind me. I was surrounded by 10,000 Indian friends. It was a very difficult situation, especially where every mosquito in the greater Mumbai area was aware that I had Greek yogurt and honey for dinner. And there was a swarm of mosquitoes. I couldn't even see Osho through the mosquitoes. And Osho talked for an hour and a half in Hindi. I thought I was going to die. And right in the middle of this hour and a half Hindi discourse, Osho said one line in English: "Do not build your house on the bridge." And for me, I meditated on it for years because I thought, obviously, he said that only for me. And what I really got from that is what Buddha said when he was leaving his body: keep moving, keep moving. You know, you've made some mistakes, but your heart is in the right place. Keep moving, keep moving. And I'll never forget it. And I live that way. Whenever the shit hits my fan, I just keep moving. And what I wanted to do now, really briefly, is before you stand up, the last time we all stood up together, just for a moment, someone wasn't wearing pajamas on the bottom. In other words, in our day of Zoom, everybody looks great from the waist up. But I bet you my friend Vismai is naked from the waist down. You could, if you don't want to get up and get clothing, you could just shut off your camera just for a moment. But let's everybody stand up just for a second, if you don't mind. Whoops, sorry about that sound. Boom. Oh, that's making noise. Great. And I just all I want you to do is feel your feet. And we did this the last time we were together, and it's so simple because as I speak and as you listen, there's a very good chance that you're in your mind. And there's a very good chance that I'm in my mind because, I'm just having fun. So just feel your feet, just feel your feet. And what I want to do is something that we do in Qigong. As you feel your feet, just shake a little and left to right. And I know it sounds foolish, but a lot of us don't know we have feet. We don't use them anymore because we love our mind so very, very much. The problem with getting older is sometimes the mind is about the only thing that still works, But the body is here, this very body, the Buddha, as Osho reminds. And what I was saying before, I want the men to let go of being men. And I want the women to let go of being women. And this is a Qigong move. You're just going to raise your hands up. The men are feeling their male energy. The women are feeling that I'm a woman. And then I want you just to drop down and be the opposite sex. Lift.
Veda or Veda.
Just lift and come back on down. Just, I am a man and I have female energy. I am a woman and I have male energy. The men are letting go of the heat of being so strong and just dropping in how beautiful it is to have female receptive qualities. I don't want any of us ever again to be codependent. The man in me can love the woman in me. The woman in you can love the man in you. When you're strong to pick up, Jin, just let go. It's so beautiful. Of course, this is a Qigong. This is from Qigong. Pankaj is teaching Qigong in London right now. If you want a private lesson, just letting go. Beautiful. I want you to practice this because when you can let go of the sex that you belong to, you can be so much gentle with your partner. For me, Tantra is not, I am a man and you are a woman. It's, I am whole and you are whole, but I feel better when we're together. I get more energy because I'm with you. I don't no longer need anything at all. I just want to share. You know yourself. We've all, looking at this audience, the average is 1.5 marriages per attendee tonight. Some of them have been married for 3-4 times even, because we're always looking for the other to complete ourselves. All Osho is teaching is, how can you be whole? Once you are whole, that's the definition of aloneness. Once you need someone, that's the definition of loneliness. So simple. And it's time for Osho sannyasins to grow up and to share, And once in a while, you need a hot fudge sundae, of course. But try to learn from your mistakes. Osho would say, I never make the same mistake once. Krishna Prem, I hope you only make the same mistake once. If you make the same mistake twice, you don't have to do this exercise anymore because you're totally asleep. I want you, if you make the same mistake twice, remember what the French say, if you get married twice, you're going to get married 3 times. You need to learn from your mistakes, huh? I love it. Now, I'm not going to go into it tonight, but I want you to remember the other Qigong move. You lean forward and you bring your hands up, huh? Over your head. And then as you come down, you go to the full weight of your feet. I'm letting go of my male energy, and I'm inviting my female energy in. For the women, I'm letting go of being such a strong woman, and I'm looking for the man in me to help me get through the day. It's such a beautiful exercise. I hate to say it, but I stole it from Qigong. And Qigong helps people our age to live a little longer. And that's about it. You can study that at home. You can sit down, you can, Vismaya, you can turn your camera back on. Vismaya has a very famous nudist colony in Singapore. If you're ever in Singapore, you can let me know. I'll connect you with Vismaya. Very beautiful. There's a lot of great, strange people here. Anyway, it's so very important, basically, to be whole, to be whole. And the only way you can do that is accept the man in you and accept the woman in you until there is no one else in you that's alive except silence. Not so very, very easy. And as a young sannyasin, Osho said to me, you know, Krishna Prem, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off your head. I said, oh, that's very sweet of you, Osho. And, you know, and then he said, I'm gonna rip out your heart, Krishna Prem. I said, really? Why? Did I come all the way to India to be abused like this? You know? And then he said, I'm going to punch you in the belly. I said, Osho, this is very mean. He said, what you don't know, Krishna Prem, is I'm going to put you back. You know, I'm going to put you back from the hara to the heart, to the mind, to existence. You're so afraid of life, and I hate to say it, but I came to Osho full of fear that when you breathe in, you never left your mind. You were hoping that you would meet a woman that was full of heart, so you didn't have to have a heart. And that recipe for disaster means that you never live in your hara. And unless you can live in your hara, you don't know that existence is whispering silence into your life. I leave that up to you to meditate on. I leave it up to you because I'll never forget it. And these are little true stories that, I have told along the way. But Osho once said to me, you can see Osho there. It was long beard. He said, this is me. And Krishna Prem, this is you. Again, I was insulted, but he was making a metaphor. But basically what he said is, you came to me because all you know how to do is say, Krishna Prem loves Osho. Krishna Prem is now healing from a bad marriage because I met Osho. And Osho said, it won't work. It will not work if you blah, 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 blah. You understand? And what Osho said is, Krishna Prem, in order to relate to a master, you have to let go of your conditioning. You have to let go of your parents. You have to let go of your education. And once you do that, you drop into this space, which Osho calls the unknowable. Once you're willing to let go, you're also willing to be intimate. So Osho would say to me, if you can drop your personality and trust, you'll drop into intuition and you'll have the ability not to know. And then you can come up here and say, Osho, I love you, because you've taken the risk of not knowing. As you know, in India, we always say, not knowing is the most intimate experience you can have. You know, I'm so tired of knowing, my head is so weary from 80 years of facts and figures. I could give a shit about, now that doesn't mean the bills aren't paid. That doesn't mean I don't take care. I just also give credit to Osho. I also give credit to Osho. And we talked about it the last time, but you might think I'm telling you something, but I'm actually reminding myself that this wonderful Christian sign of infinity is so magical. You know that little 8 that's on the side? And it's very simple. And this is the beauty. It's not, the mind always makes those two sides equal. But existence doesn't do that. Existence said, there's a little point here, little circle. And then you go over here and there's a giant circle on the other side, and that little circle is existence. And it's not making any noise. Existence is silence, whispering to you. And over here is the world making all this noise that you need to pay attention to your politicians. You need to pay taxes. You need to take care of your wife and your children and your government until you're absolutely exhausted. And what I want to say is really cute. What Osho said to me, to all of us, when I say me, I mean all of us, he said, guess what? It's better to feed one Buddha than all of California. It's better to appreciate a man of awareness than all the unconscious people in America today. Now, I don't mean to insult America, because everybody is enlightened. The problem we have in this existence is everybody's enlightened, pretending to be asleep. So all of California is walking around unenlightened because they think if they're enlightened, they're going to have to be nicer. They're going to have to do something. They're going to have to be absolutely fabulous, but that's not what Osho is saying. That's not that little 1% over here is not saying I'm a great doer. It's saying I'm a human being. See, over here, you're a human being, and over here, you're a human doer. And that little point is you're, separating your human being from your human doer is simply your ego, And I've never been able to drop my ego now. That's the good news tonight, that I'm lower than all the people in the audience, because I have a big ego. And the good news is I'm willing to breathe into that point called my ego. And I can breathe so well now that my ego gets bigger. In other words, I came to India to drop my ego, and I realized you can't do it. So I said to myself, wow, instead of dropping it, I'm going to become the biggest egotist in the whole world. And when I did that, I was able to walk through my ego, that little point where existence lives, or God lives, or Jesus lives, or Osho lives, or you live. Because my ego was so big, I could actually walk through this. My human being could go over here and say to my human doer, please, you're exhausted. Listen to me a little bit, listen to me. You're a human being that can do something. You don't become a human being by doing something. You become a human being by remembering that you are enlightened. And you are willing to take the risk of being happy and juicy and celebrative, and I always have to remind everybody, once you get enlightened, you still have to pay the rent. It's not like enlightenment pays the rent, but paying the rent becomes a little more laughable, because when you become a human being, you also become the witness. And the witness is space. The witness is silent. And it can look at your human doer and laugh so loud. And once your human doer kind of gets the joke also and said, my human being is laughing at me, maybe I can be whole again. And what is whole? You add that little 1% to that big 99%, and you are 100%. How many of you remember Osho used to say, water does not boil at 99 degrees. Water boils at 100 degrees. You need to add your little witness to your big life in California, and that's the win. That's the win. That's the win. Again, I was very mad at Osho when he was leaving his body, because I was breathing in because I had to take care of myself. Osho was breathing out because he was getting ready to let go. And I knew I didn't want him to die, so we all chipped in. And I don't know if you've ever seen it, but we bought him all this equipment that actually moved his body, so he could sit in this equipment and it would do all the exercises for you. The only problem is Osho didn't like it. You know what I mean? I liked it a lot because, it helped me to be lazy like Osho, but I was still in my body. But that was the problem with Osho. He was getting ready to leave. Of course, I was attached to him. But that's a death story. But a better life story is I was one of the very, very, very few people that knew that Osho was going to come to America for medical reasons, if you know what I mean. And I was planting trees around the Osho Auditorium in Pune, and it was very, very hard work. And the reason I knew Osho was coming to America is I had a big center for Osho, and I knew all the Americans there that could move to the ranch. So I sent a little note into Osho, because I wasn't allowed to tell the secret, but I sent a little note. The planting these trees is such hard work. Can I drop it? Because I know you're leaving anyway. Why am I planting these trees? And he sent me back a message. You're not planting the trees for you, Krishna Prem. You're planting the trees for the tree's sake. I thought it was great. And years later, when we came back to Pune, there's all those little bamboo sprouts that I planted, and now they're 50 meters high. And here's all those trees that I planted, and they were thriving, So I had to laugh. I was hoping the trees would say thank you, but I couldn't quite hear what they were talking about, But I don't want to be Krishna Prem and I don't want to be Osho. I want to be total. So I wanted to just suggest to you that we breathe for 5 minutes, just breathe. And I'll never forget it when you're in London. I think a lot of us have been to London and you're taking the tube, they call it, and all of a sudden you're getting ready to get on the tube and it says, mind the gap, mind the gap. And I always said, I thought maybe everybody in England's enlightened, because that's what Osho would say, mind the gap. And so what I want to suggest is just for 5 minutes so I can take a little break with you, I thought we could just breathe. And we breathe in and we breathe out. And what I feel, and I know I'm crazy, is when you breathe in, if you can't breathe in anymore, there is a gap. And when you breathe out, there's a moment when you can't breathe out, there is a gap. And for me, that's when your human being can talk to your human doer. Because when you get enlightened, like Krishna Prem, joke, I hope you're laughing. When you get, that human being and that human doer, there's no difference. They're one. So if you can watch your breath, you can also be one. When you can see that you're a human being that can do something, for once in your life, you're alive. And you don't have to run a marathon and you don't have to make love. You can just breathe. So can we put on a t-shirt just for 5 minutes? Our eyes are closed, taking a little break from this foolish guy, Krishna Prem. And we're just going to breathe. Breathing in, breathing out.
Namo Bhagavate Mara
Hey, listen, I'm in Pune right now. Please don't visit me yet. It's very slow right now. As you probably heard of COVID. I was on the road for 3 years. And I'm finally back in Pune. And it's so beautiful because when you come to visit me in Pune, I give you a slice of pizza and a black coffee without sugar and a maroon robe. And people are so thankful that when I visit them, they say, you can stay in my house forever and you can sleep with my wife and you can drive my car. And I always say the same thing. I don't drive anymore, but I had a fabulous, fabulous 3 years. But COVID's over, and my friends were saying, enough of our generosity, go back to Pune. So I'm very much enjoying, as you know, I love it here. But I want to mention 2 things. One, my beloved Jwala, my good friend. We were together for 17 years, and we got divorced, and I moved into the next bedroom. I didn't even move out of the house. We're still so close, but I got a little too old to have a girlfriend, and she got younger and she wanted a boyfriend. So we decided just to be friends. And she's coming for New Year's Eve, and that's when I'm celebrating my 80th birthday, not tonight, but January 1st, December 31st, if you come, we're going to have a big birthday cake and a glass of champagne in my room. And then we're going to go down and have a big, big party down below. As you know, everybody went back to work. And so if you were smart enough to get a job, you're also smart enough to come to Pune when it's juicy. So from Christmas Day till the middle of March, it's the greatest place in the whole world to be. So what I want to say is, even if you enjoy this Zoom tonight and you say, I want to be just like Krishna Prem, don't do it. Be more like yourself and come between Christmas, which is a great day to buy a flight because no one wants to fly on Christmas, and all the way through March. I think you'll really, really love it. And the second celebration is we're next summer going to meet in Costa Rica. We're going to have an Osho Fest with music and meditation. And at the end of tonight, Amritanand and his friends are going to send you an invitation to join us in Costa Rica next August. I can't think of a nicer thing if you're in the world of America, for example, and you want to come and visit us. It's going to be a fabulous week. I'd love to see you in Pune. If you can't come to Pune, we can meet in Costa Rica. And if you can't come to Pune and you can't come to Costa Rica, you can come to my burning. I'm not going to be here forever. And what was fun, Osho used to say to me, I'm not a miss you kind of guru. People would leave, and Osho would say, really, do you have to leave? And they say, Osho, are you attached to us? He said, no, I'm not attached to you, but I'm a miss you kind of master. And Krishna Prem is a miss you kind of sannyasin friend. So I know it sounds silly, but I would really, really like to see every single one of you in Pune this year. It's still great. We don't know how long great is going to last because life is such a mystery. Or we can all join up in Costa Rica. Pretty simple, no? Pretty simple. And I'm looking forward. Now, and I'm reading tonight. I think I might have told the joke the last time, but I see Visma is falling asleep, so I want to tell a joke, which will help us all get rid of our egos. And please remember that this is a joke. But basically, I'm very lonely. I told you that Pune is quiet right now. So the only thing I can do in order to make love is to try and date one of my girlfriends on Facebook. And I met a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous Russian girl on Facebook. And we moved to Messenger, and we moved to Skype, and we just were falling in love. And she said, I'm coming to Pune. And I was very, very excited. And most of you kids out there, I know I can look at the audience, most of you have been to Pune. So, you know, it's a very big property. So there's literally a street that separates the two sides of the property. She's over here because she's just registered. And I'm over here because I'm just coming out of meditation, and we see each other. And just, Ananda, remember the French movies where they wave in slow motion because they're so in love, you know? And I'm waving to her. Her name was Ananda, by the way. It's not you, but it was Ananda. And she's waving to me. And it was like love, absolutely love. And we just started running towards each other. And my God, she got hit by a rickshaw. My God, Ananda, I had to carry her to the Ruby Hall Hospital next to the resort. And I put her in the hospital bed, and the doctor came and he said, there's nothing we can do. You have to call a priest. She's about to leave her body. I said, well, sannyasins, we don't have any priests, but I'll take care of her. She entered the white light right from that hospital bed. Now, being a deep meditator, unlike yourselves, I entered the white light with her. Now we're sitting in front of God, who paid, by the way, no attention to me. That's why I think maybe God is a chauvinistic pig. I'm not sure, but nothing, no energy, no energy. He was only about my girlfriend. Already I'm jealous because she's crazy about God. She's forgotten about me. And God said to her, look, I'm not expecting you for 30 years. We exit the white light. We're back in the hospital bed. The doctor said, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. This is a miracle. She said, stop with the miracle. God said, I have 30 more years to live. I need breast implants. I need to shave my chin. I need to tighten my ass. And I need a tummy tuck. And I've always wanted blonde hair. Well, it took a month, but she looked fabulous. She leaves the hospital. We see each other from across the street. Again, just like, I couldn't believe it. It's like love again, except she was gorgeous now, a little plastic, but absolutely gorgeous. Waving slowly to me. I'm waving slowly to her. She starts running towards me. I can't believe what I'm about to tell you. The same rickshaw hit her. Now she's all over the ground. The plastic is everywhere. We go back to the hospital. We re-enter the white light. She's sitting in front of God, and he says, welcome. You told me I had 30 more years to live. And God, I swear to God, Ananda, look at me, sweetheart. He was squinting like this. He said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you. So we don't need plastic surgery, and we don't need egos. We just need to be more playful. We need to dance more and scream more, laugh more. I know Amrita gets mad at me, but I like Osho a lot. And as you know, every single night when he speaks to us for an hour, just like Krishna Prem did, he would say, gibberish time. It's time to go crazy. Even listening to me is not a healthy thing unless you're willing to go a little crazy. And every night we go crazy just for 2 minutes, just for 2 minutes. So I want to play a little Osho joke that I told him. I want you to laugh because even though I said I don't have ego, I think the two jokes that I told him that he's going to tell us tonight, if you don't laugh, I'll feel very insulted, you know. And then once he finishes that joke, we're just going to talk blah, 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 just for 2 minutes. Two jokes, 2 minutes of madness. And once we finish with the madness, Osho's going to be so very, very nice to us. When you say to Osho, 2 and 2 is 4, he literally falls asleep. If you say to Osho, I'm totally bananas, Osho says, now the real work can begin. I can get in there. I can play with you. So we're going to do 2 jokes. We're going to do 2 minutes of blah, 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 blah. And then Osho's going to talk nice to us. It's not very long. And I don't know if you know the drill. You don't have to. He's going to be nice to us. Then he's going to say die, and you can just collapse in your chair. And then he brings us back. He likes to bring us back. I don't know why. And he's still talking to us nice. And then we'll finish up with a little song and a little Krishna Prem and a little dance. So don't take it serious. I think most of our audience has done this let go meditation before. If you haven't, just enjoy going mad just for 2 minutes every day. And I want you every day until we see each other again in the spring. I'll be taking a little break from sharing to get some projects done. Every day, I want you to do this gibberish for 2 minutes. And you go to work and somebody pushes your buttons, your boss saying, you're doing a lousy job. Instead of going to reaction, I want you to go to the men's room, to the women's room, close the door and go blah, 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 blah. And every time somebody pushes your buttons, I want you to speak gibberish. And when we get together in the spring, you probably won't have any more buttons to push. You'll probably be saying, Krishna Prem, I only came today because you're so irritating. I want to do gibberish. So you can use this gibberish absolutely to get enlightened, absolutely to remember how insane this lifetime is. If you're sane, it's not insane, but if you're not sane, it's insane. So 2 jokes from Osho, blah, 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 blah. And then Osho's going to be so nice to us. You're going to be very impressed how nice he is. Okay, can we try it? Just relax. You can just lay down and die. This is not a test. This is not a test. This is just to hear a master speak to us like he loves us. And he only loves us when we're real. At least we can feel it more. You ready, Amritanan?
Before you go on the marathon race to find yourself, just for the journey, to remember that it is a joyful and playful experience. It is not a serious thing. Farmer O'Reilly goes to see the doctor for his yearly checkup. After the examination, the doctor says, "You are good and healthy, but there is one thing I have to tell you. You must start wearing underwear for 2 reasons. First, it is more hygienic, and second, it is warmer." So Farmer O'Reilly buys himself some underwear and puts them on. The next day he is out in the fields when he needs to take a shit. So he climbs off the tractor, pulls down his pants, but of course forgets about his underwear. When he has finished, he pulls up his pants, takes a look behind him, and mumbles, "The doc was right, it is very hygienic." Then he climbs back onto his tractor and sits down. "Right again," exclaims O'Reilly in surprise. "It is warmer too." On an ocean cruise in the South Pacific, the ship sinks, leaving only 12 survivors, who are lucky enough to reach a small island nearby. They are two French businessmen and their secretary, two Italian businessmen and their secretary, two American oil executives and their secretary, and two British businessmen and their secretary. After a week, the two Frenchmen reach an agreement. One man gets the secretary on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and the other Frenchman gets her on alternate days. On Sunday, naturally, she gets both of them. After a week, one Italian businessman suits the other Italian so that he can have the secretary all to himself. After a week, the two American executives and their secretary are still waiting for instructions from head offices in Texas. But after 2 days, the two British businessmen suit their secretary so that they can have each other. Be silent. Close your eyes. Feel the body to be completely frozen. Now look inwards with total urgency, as if this is your last moment. Go deeper with all your consciousness as an spear, forcing into the center of your being. This center belongs to the eternity. At this center, you suddenly become a Buddha, because you also become eternal. The Buddha is the highest peak of your consciousness, the very Everest and unless you have reached to this Everest, you have not fulfilled your potentiality. You are not born to be just mediocre human beings. Your destiny is to be gods. Less than that won't do. And it is not a question of becoming a Buddha, it is simply a question of remembering it is your very nature. To make it absolutely clear, Nivedana, relax, remain a witness of the body and the mind, just a witness, because that is the only quality that belongs to eternity. That is the only quality that is your nature. It is not given to you. It is your very self. Just watch silently and peacefully. You are neither the body nor the mind. And then suddenly a great explosion happens. Your witness takes the form of the Buddha. This evening has been beautiful on its own. But thousands of stars have been added to it by your witnessing selves. At this moment, there are not 10,000 Buddhas, but only one ocean of consciousness. All separation disappears. This is the greatest splendor that is available to you, and only to you. Except man, no other animal can reach to this point of Buddhahood. It is your privilege. Thousands of flowers are showering on you of peace, of silence, of love, of joy. The clouds have come to confirm it. Before Nivedana calls you back, gather as much flowers, fragrance, because you have to live the Buddha 24 hours. It is not a question of few minutes meditation. Few minutes of meditation is just a remembrance. Every day deepening more and more into the nature of your being. But you have to live it 24 hours in every action, in every word, in every silence, in every gesture. If you can live the way a Buddha is supposed to live, your life will become a dance, a poetry, a music. Nivedana, come back, but come back as Buddhas. Even in your coming, show the grace of the Buddha. Silently, peacefully, sit down for a few minutes to recollect the experience, the space you have visited, the path that you have followed, and make it a point of remembering in your ordinary day-to-day life that you are carrying a Buddha within you, that you are pregnant with a Buddha, and you have to be careful about it. It is a very delicate affair. Okay, Manisha?
Yes, Osho.
Can we celebrate the 10,000 Buddhas?
Yes, Osho.
Sweet. Oof. I love it because Osho said to me, you know, Krishna Prem, when you get enlightened, I just want you to know one thing. I'm still going to do all the talking. Yeah. And I'm exhausted from being with you. I feel great. And the beauty about being exhausted is I heard everything that Osho had to say. And he's very sweet. When he loves you, it's so nice. I've been around him when he didn't love me, and a little more painful. And the last feeling I want to share with you is Osho said to me, and he said to all of us, it's so easy to be strong and invulnerable, like a lot of men. And it's so easy to be weak and vulnerable and just feel bad for yourself. But he said the real trick, the real knack, is to be strong and vulnerable. And that's kind of what I wanted to share tonight. I'm looking for the men in my life to become more female, and I'm looking for the women in my life to become stronger and more powerful. And I know that once the witness is born in each of us, it's so very, very easy to be strong and vulnerable. And thank you so much. I just want to mention that usually I can see who's in the audience. So if I would have loved it, I know Sanjeev is here tonight, and that's so much fun for me. He might have left now to babysit, but anyway, he's a great guy, and I would have loved to say hello to everybody, and I might have Amritanand and Prabhat send me the email list so I can tell everybody how much I enjoyed that you were foolish enough to spend an hour and a half with me and Osho, and I appreciate it. And just remember, there's a big birthday cake on New Year's Eve on my room just above the dance floor, and we can meet in Costa Rica, or, you know, we can just say hello. As long as you're not a Russian girl that wants to marry me, I'm still open. I'm still open. Anyway, thank you so very, very much. I love Stevie Wonder. Everybody, I want you to celebrate my existence, because who knows about tomorrow? You can all stand up even, except, you know, make sure you're wearing your underwear and everything. Hi, Louise. My downstairs neighbor. And Raul, I can't believe you did the whole thing. I can't believe it. Hey, Stevie, sing to me. Hey, if we sing louder.